Welcome to the Bella Vista Gardening Program. I'm Geri Hoerner, and joining me today is Sharon Kerr. She is the fellow Benton County Master Gardener, and today we're going to be discussing the upcoming Benton County Fair and the contributions made by the Master Gardeners to make it such a fun event. It really is fun. And we will also be discussing other events coming up and what to do in your garden in September besides watering and weeding and that type of thing. So, but first I want to thank our sponsors, Benton County Master Gardeners and the Bella Vista Garden Club have chosen to be director level members again of the Bella Vista Community TV station. And we really appreciate their support. They have just been so wonderful and providing information for us and supporting us, and we really, really appreciate that. So, we also have some good news. I don't know if the Master Gardeners know this yet or not. I don't think I've announced it to them, but we've also won the national award, the top in the whole country, from the Arkansas Federation of Garden Clubs and the National Garden Club out of
good job.
I think their home office is in St. Louis. So anyway, this is the second time we've won it, and we're so excited about that. This little, town in Arkansas beating, California, New York, and all these other big garden clubs. So anyway, and I know the TV show is, the TV station is really proud of what they produce too. So it's quite an honor. So. But anyway, we don't have too many upcoming events that I'm aware of. I know the Compton Gardens holding their plant sale in September 28th,
the last weekend.
29th. Yeah, and so it's native plants, and I think it's named after Dr. Compton, who donated the property. And so it's from 7 to 3 on the 28th and 29th, and from 7 to 1 on the 30th, that's Saturday. So it's a great place to get some native plants. We all love native plants. So. But today we're here with Sharon to discuss the Benton County Fair.
All right.
And Benton County Master Gardeners have been involved in the fair for a long time. I know when I first started 27 years ago, we were at the fair, had a little corner booth when it was downtown Bentonville.
Right.
And so we've been pretty active with the fair all these years, but it's really expanded now.
Well, I've only been in Benton County 5 years. This will be my 6th fair, actually. I did the fair for Master Gardeners before I became an Arkansas Master Gardener. I was transferring in from another state. We manage about 1/4 of the exhibit hall.
Right.
So we have a big chunk of real estate, and we're a big part of the fair. We have the horticulture, which is all your fruits and veggies. Mm-hmm. We have the floriculture. Sometimes that throws people, but it's just the cut flowers, potted plants, blooming things. It can even just be a piece of foliage in a vase. Anyone can enter any of these categories. There's adult and youth categories. You don't have to be part of a garden club. Kids don't have to be part of 4-H. This is open to anyone. And in the last couple of years, we've been adding some contests like the Scarecrow contest last year, the biggest pumpkin. This year we're adding decorated pumpkins. This is to make it more fun, but we also have another problem we're dealing with this time of year. The fair used to be in August, as so many county fairs are. We moved ours to the end of September, and the good news for most exhibitors, it's a little cooler, if you can imagine.
Yeah, it's been really...
Washington County had their fair last week, and it was, at least
brutal.
one of their buildings is air-conditioned. Ours is not.
Yeah.
by the end of September, there's not a lot of garden produce still available. Matter of fact, if you show up with something like strawberries, we're going to say,
where did you buy those?
yeah, you didn't really grow those in Benton County, did you?
Yeah.
Even with the 100+ heat we've had, even the tomatoes and everything is just about finished for the season. So it's hard to put together a good display. Of course, our purpose is to show the best that Benton County can grow.
Right.
And after the August we just are finishing up, it's going to be slim pickings. But we'd like to encourage everyone, if you grow it, show it.
Right. That's right.
And I'm here to tell you what you need to do to enter it in the fair. Because a lot of people have pretty gardens, even in September, and they don't know how to enter the fair.
Well, it's amazing
or they don't
how
even know they can.
It is still amazing how much is blooming in September, even October, you know, if you look around. So, but this fair starts on the 28th, September 28th, and runs to October 1st.
Right.
So to get your things ready for the fair is, there's an art to that, right?
There is an art to that, and we're going to demonstrate some of that because it's
Yeah.
easier when you can see what's going
Right.
on. The first thing, if you're thinking about entering, you can pick this up at the county extension office. It's the Benton County Fair book, or you can download it online. If you just Google Benton County Fair, be sure you're looking at Arkansas because there's, I think, 11 other Benton counties in the country. The tip-off for me was I was getting my entries ready for the first time last year, and it kept asking me about cherries. And I thought, really? Cherries? I was looking at Washington County's fair website, so be sure you're doing the AR when you get the Benton County, look for the AR in the name, and either download the book, pick up a book at the AgriLife Extension office. If you're a member of a club, these books are available in the clubs, but there's rules for every category.
Oh, yeah. A lot of rules.
And
you have to follow the rules.
You have to follow the rules. Your entry can be disqualified. I'm going to show you, for instance, on flowers, what you're looking for when you enter your flowers. You want to get a nice tight bloom. These were picked yesterday at Helping Hands Garden, which is behind the thrift store, and it's managed by Master Gardeners, and then we donate the fruits and vegetables to the pantry. We also, in some of the extra beds, just grow flowers.
Well, we need the pollinators for all the vegetables.
We need the pollinators.
So got to have pollinators.
And when you bring your things to the fair, a good way to bring them is in a Ziploc bag with a wet paper towel, because they're going to give you the containers they want you to use once you get there.
Yeah, they're all uniform, and they provide those.
Yeah, we're going to have brown slender bottles for the taller flowers, little jars for the herbs and fruit. And one of the things they look for, and I'm a judge, by the way. I went to the judging school twice, and I have judged some county fairs. One of the things they're looking for is, that's a nice, well-rounded bloom. It looked a little better yesterday, but you can't have any leaves in the water. So when you get to the fair, you can carry it this way. When you get to the fair, they're going to hand you tags and bottles and send you over to a table like this to get your specimens ready. And that's when you're going to trim your foliage that would be in the water.
But you can't have foliage at the top.
You can have foliage at the top. This particular kind doesn't.
Yeah.
You can also look at it and say, I might like that a little shorter. And so then you'd attach your tag. The name is folded under so the judges can't see the name of the person who is entering it. And that would be, and you're going to, you will have already gone online and entered everything you want to enter, and I'll talk about that if we have time. But that's what you're going to do to get your samples ready. Now you can see if this was your sample, the foliage is not in the water, but it's falling over and it looks awkward. So by the time
doesn't look good, you need to cut
by the
that
time I trim it, then the leaves are in the water.
Yeah.
Blooming plants are not judged by the foliage, so don't feel bad about trimming it off.
And it does make the water, a little foggy
And that would be the sample you'd want to enter
yeah,
in the fair.
very clean.
Now, herbs are a little bit different story. I have a bag of herbs here. And a lot of people don't know this because I've seen them enter it wrong. And I judge the culinary herbs. And this is basil. And a culinary herb should not have flowers on it. So that right there would disqualify it from that category. This is what you want to see in basil, and this looks wilted. It was harvested yesterday. It looked a lot better yesterday. It would get a much smaller bottle. You would still trim off so no foliage is in the water. There's no flower. And if you can imagine a bottle about half this size, that would be your entry in basil. This is basil that's blooming. If you're growing basil, you're supposed to be pinching off the blooms. Once it starts blooming, it's no longer a culinary herb. It's going to get better. The other thing you would look for, very important, look under your leaves, which is where a lot of times you'll find pests, aphids, or whatever. If you have a leaf that's got a bad spot on it, you want to trim that out of your sample. Make it look as good as you can make it look. Now this one looks pitiful, but you see the idea is look for pests, wipe them off, smash them,
You
get
don't
rid
want
of them.
any bugs on your...
No bugs.
No bugs.
In theory, the people receiving your entries are supposed to reject anything that comes in with bugs. In practice, they've got to receive hundreds of samples in just a very short window.
Yeah.
They don't have time to look under every leaf for pests. That is your job as an exhibitor.
You want them to look the best they can look.
You want them to look absolutely the
Yeah.
best. This is a sample of mint. It's got a little bloom on it. That would be a mistake in the culinary herb category. And if I start looking underneath, this one's got a little powdery mildew or something going on there. So I'd want to trim that out as neatly as I can and look for any pests, any flaws, remove the bottom stems. And that would be my
And a good way to
sample
get rid
for
of some
that.
of those pests is just to, dip it in water, totally in water,
My
and they will
instructor,
float.
my instructor before, his favorite word was mash them.
Yeah.
Mash them.
Yeah.
All right, that would be how you'd enter your floral samples. You can also enter foliage, anything in your garden that looks good. If you have just a stem of beautiful foliage, nicely shaped leaves, bright green, you can enter that. There's a few things you can't enter, and the way to find out is to test it ahead of time. A lot of people will grow tropical hibiscus, or there's mallow that are related to hibiscus. There's althea or rose or Sharon. Those are one-day bloomers. You're going to bring your samples in on Saturday. They're going to close up at night. The next day, the judges are going to come in, and they're not going to see anything to judge on your samples. So your fair guide book tells you what to enter, what not to enter, but you can test it yourself. If you have something you think would be a good fair entry, go out and cut a bloom now, put it in a glass, and see what it looks like one day later. We don't allow elephant ears. And that used to be big in the foliage category. But unless you judge it the same day it's entered, it doesn't look like anything by the next day.
Daylilies are like that too.
Yeah.
Unless there's another bloom that could come out that
for
next
roses,
day.
you want to look with one that's still a tightly closed bud. You don't want to enter a rose that's fully open. By the next day, it's going to be looking wilted, and by the end of the week, it's going to be dropping petals. You want to look for that nice, tight rosebud and enter that. For potted plants, there's a little bit different thing going on. You can enter a house plant or something from your yard. The first thing you want to do when you're looking at something like this is pick out any brown leaves, look for pests, get everything looking good. And by the way, the reason this looks so pitiful is we were doing a project with Old High Middle School. This was planted in January 2019 to be a gift for one of the teachers at the end of the year. Everyone remember what happened in March of 2019? We never got to finish our project. School closed down. And this poor little baby's been in here 3.5 years. He's never been touched. He's seldom watered. You can plant in something like this with no drainage as long as you don't overwater it. It's got perlite in the bottom, so the water goes down there and then evaporates back up through the plant. Not every plant would live in a pot with no drainage.
That's for sure.
But you can't enter one where you can see the soil. Okay, you've got to, what they call it, you've got to dress it. It could be gravel, it could be sand, it could be mulch, but before I could enter this, I need to go and do a top dressing so no soil is visible. If you don't, that's going to knock you down as far as what kind of ribbon you might win. And so I would fill that up. You can buy at any place that has pet supplies, you can buy some beautifully colored gravel.
Yeah.
You can use sand. You can go down into the creek and scoop some gravel out of the creek. But they don't want to see the soil in your potted plants. Terrariums, last year, I won this ribbon. First time I'd entered the fair. And my terrarium was a light fixture that I recycled. I had 2 big globes. I didn't bring it because it's so big. It was a wire through the top of this rounded glass, open at the bottom where the light shined through. Well, I flipped it over and planted in it and made a big terrarium with ferns hanging out of it, and that won this ribbon. You wonder, how can you get, and not a fishbowl, completely round to sit in place? Okay. The way you do it is you get something like this, or a plant saucer. This is just a dinner plate. And you fill it with gravel or sand, and then your round object will sit in place. This is a little snail I did for the 4-H kids. He's got a little face. I wasn't even intending to do this. I'll talk about the vegetables in a minute. But when you nestle him into a bed of sand, then he doesn't roll around. You can do the same thing with the big glass globe. You can do the same thing with a pumpkin. I'm going to finish talking about the vegetables, and then we'll go on to the pumpkin and the scarecrow contest.
Well, you put so much work into all these things for the kids to do at the fair. It's just amazing. They just love it.
We have so much fun with the kids.
Yeah, we do.
When I was going to talk to the 4-H group 10 days ago, I realized a lot of kids have never grown a garden before. Some of them have never even really seen fresh produce.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them who have seen only grocery store produce. And they have no idea when you say, pick the best sample or look for flaws. They don't know what you're talking about. They've never seen bad produce. So what I did was, I went to the Helping Hands Garden and asked the harvesters, those are all Master Gardener volunteers, I said, find me your ugliest stuff. Okay? I want to show them what not to enter.
Mm-hmm.
I want to show them what to look for. And right now, after the August we just had, almost everybody's tomatoes look like this, if they have any left at all.
They're not picture perfect right now, no.
This is not something you want to enter in the fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's got heat splits. It's got what might be a bug bite. It's malformed.
Mm-hmm.
I know you might find a zucchini that looks like Abraham Lincoln and it's really cool, but what they want to see at the fair is the most perfect example. So if you're entering in the vegetable category, what I tell the kids to do, and by the way, that's why you need the fair book. If you're entering something small like cherry tomatoes, you need, tells you right in the book, you need 5 on your plate, and they will provide plates. I've got coffee filters. So for instance, I tell the kids, if you need 5 peppers, 5 cherry tomatoes, pick 10, and then look for the 5 that are the most perfect and most alike. And by the way, these are grocery store tomatoes, but we've got one little pear-shaped cherry tomato in here. And obviously this variety should look like this oval. Mm-hmm. So we're going to reject anything that doesn't match, and we're going to try to come up with 5 as nearly alike as we can. Okay, a lot of times when you bring in something from the garden, it has a little bit of dirt on it. You can wipe it off with an old sock is good, a dust rag is good, anything like that.
Yeah, a piece of cotton or handkerchief is good.
Anything like that is good. You don't really want to wash it. Once you wash it, you're washing off some of the natural protection that vegetable has. And that vegetable is going to sit there from Saturday to the following Saturday. You don't want the decay process to start. Mm-hmm. So that would be a good entry for tomatoes. They're looking, most categories, they're not looking for the smallest or the largest. They're looking for an edible size. So this is a pretty eggplant, nice color, no real flaws, but it's too small. It probably wouldn't win a blue ribbon. There's no obvious flaw, maybe a little bug mark there. If you were entering peppers, these are grocery store peppers. Okay, you've got 2 that look pretty good, one with a really awkward looking crook in it. You've got some bug bites. If you had better choices, these aren't the ones you would want to enter. This is maybe the most perfect one. And if you're required to have 3 banana peppers on your plate, you want 3 that look like this. Not one with blemishes. That was a new word for some of the kids. We talked about blemishes, and they said acne. No. Kids don't really handle fresh produce, and some of their parents either. So it's interesting. This is an example from the Helping Hands garden. It's a really nice cucumber. This is what a cucumber should look like. It was harvested at the right time. We got a nice smooth release from the vine. This one was harvested too young. It's still got a fuzzy stem. It's misshapen. It's underdeveloped. So that's the kind of thing that will take you from a blue ribbon down to a red or white. Now, what's happening with the ribbons? Everyone always wants to know, why are there so many blue ribbons? We're judging on the Danish system, and that's a new concept for a lot of people. You think, okay, if nobody's entering tomatoes, I can enter something like this and I'll win because I'm the only one. If there's nothing competing against me, I must have a blue ribbon. No.
No, that's not the case.
That's not the way Danish system works. Each little group is judged against the standard for that group. These are going to be judged against the standard for cherries, not against somebody else's plates of cherries. If it ticks all the boxes, they're nicely shaped, there's no blemishes, they're uniform. I don't want to see a little one and a big one and a yellow one and a green one. If they ask for 5 of something, they want 5 alike. I'm a judge, I know. If it meets all the standards, it's going to get a blue ribbon. If you've done something a little below the standard, well, first of all, they would reject it if there was 4 or 6. If it says 5, they want 5. If I've got an outlier in there like this pear-shaped one, I might take that down from a blue to a red. And if I've got splits and bug bites and some of them green, I might take it down to white. Now, this makes a difference in what you earn, and it's just a few dollars for a blue ribbon.
So you get $2 for every blue ribbon? Is that what
I'd
they
have
pay
to look
now?
it up. Every category is different.
Oh, okay.
We've had kids enter 60 different things, and at a couple dollars a piece, and then maybe a grand championship, they
Yeah.
can walk away with a nice amount of change for kids. But really, people are doing it for the accomplishment.
Yeah.
The one thing the judges will do is on your little tag that's attached to your plate of vegetables, they'll put a comment and they'll say, well, that was a nice plate, but next time look for getting a uniform one. Or they'll tell you, you shouldn't have entered this one because of the splits. They'll tell you what to look for next time so you can improve your performance.
Well, that's good.
One of the last categories in the or I won't say one of the last categories, one of the fun categories is you can also enter a basket, and it has to have 12 different things that you've grown. And it's judged, most of the rest are judged on the technical aspect of, is this a good pepper? This one is judged on the beauty of the display. Okay, and that often gets best of show because some of the baskets are really beautiful. They really are gorgeous works of art.
I think we got to get them ready for this fair, and then need to talk about what to do in our garden this
Am
month.
I running long on my time?
Running a little long, but there's so much information we need for the fair, and most of it's in this book.
Let me hit a couple of things they may still have in their garden. Okra. Again, they want it edible.
It's the right size.
It's actually a little past edible, and a judge will pick it up and feel it. They're starting to get woody. Yeah, they're going to pick things up and turn them over. This is a better size. And you want to, and a lot of times whoever is receiving your entry will tell you, trim all your stems the same length. That would be part of getting it ready. Trim them all the same length.
Same size.
Look at your peppers for flaws. Try to enter, if you're entering 3 peppers, and that's the requirement, these 2 are good. This one just does not look like, one thing does not look like the other. That's a bad thing. Very quickly, I'm going to move to pumpkins and scarecrows. Those are our new categories. They're a lot of fun. The scarecrows, I don't have an example to show you. It's our first time last year. We said we gave them some size restrictions. We don't want it more than 8 feet tall. We don't want it shorter than 30 inches. And other than that, we just let them run with it.
They had some wonderful
We got
entries.
so many different. I was so pleased. I thought everything would look like your standard scarecrow with a floppy hat and a plaid shirt. We had so many creative entries.
They were very good. And then you can vote for your favorite too.
And there's a I think if there's a $25 prize, a ribbon, a medal, People's Choice Awards. So there's a lot of things you can win there.
And then they have a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, and we have a scavenger hunt for the kids. That's in our booth. We arrange the pumpkins with bales of hay so you can go in there and take a photo and post that online. And the fair loves that because then people get to see, oh, I want to come out to the fair and look for that.
Yep, that's what they need to do.
Pumpkins.
Well, we're going to have to, we need to move on. I know we could probably do 2 shows on this subject, just the fair subject. But just go to the fair and enjoy it and, appreciate all the things you see. So I did need to talk about the things to do in your garden, but we're running a little low. So you can go to the Bella Vista Garden Club.com website, and we have everything you need to know about what to do in your garden for September. And the Garden Club meeting is going to be September 27th at the community church. They're going to have the recipients of the scholarships. We go through a lot of work to make money for scholarships, and we're giving away 2 $4,000 scholarships to the U of A students. And then there's another 4,000 scholarship that I'm honoring my sister-in-law, Sharon with the scholarship to a U of A student. So there's 3 scholarships going to be given out. So, and the Master Gardener meeting is the first Tuesday of the month at 5:30 social and 6 o'clock. So that's on first Tuesday of the month. So, but thank you, Sharon, for coming and showing all this. There's just so much about the fair that is so interesting. And like I said, there's so many different areas of the fair to look at. Have a good time at.
Yeah, we hope lots of people will
Yeah.
enter.
And you can also, excuse me, you can also sign up for Master Gardener training there if you're
Yes.
interested in being a Master Gardener. So, and I hope you've enjoyed the show and join us next month. And until then, don't forget to stop and smell the roses.